Hi guys. Hopefully I caught a lot of you at lunch, but if not, maybe I'll catch you when you come back and revisit the video. So I know that I just made an update. A lot of people were like, "Oh my God, potatoes!" What? And I'm like, "No, slow down, everybody." So as you all know, for those who have been following me and my son's journey, so my son, who has HS, is we're working on his food sensitivity issues, which is what it is. Right now with HS individuals, there's no cure to resolve the illness, disease, whatever they want to categorize it as. But from what I've been able to learn and understand as I've been able to help my son is I've been able to manage his pain. So whereas before where we started with doctors and the doctors were just like, well, here's these injections and here's these pills. Let's just numb your immune system, but you can still have, pain, pussing. And then the next day it's like all over again. You're just popping more pills, having another weekly injection to put your immune system to sleep. So that way it doesn't acknowledge that you have bacteria in your body that's coming out all day, every day. And so what I did is I went a different route. I went with healing within. I wanted to heal the inside of his body so that way I can see it on the outside of his body. And so he's been doing really great. I've seen a lot of progress. And for those who are just starting this whole trying to manage your HS, it's a lot. I know it's a lot of information because even I still have to catch myself and mentally make myself slow down. Like, hey, Val, just because you saw progress, you know what I mean? Don't go, out the door and go buy all kinds of stuff. It's a transition, and it's a transition that has to be monitored because every little second, every little change that gets done against your digestive system can trigger something that it's like, oh man, what happened? And then you try to backtrack, like, well, what change occurred? And I'm guilty of that. I do it all the time. I make like 10 changes at once, and then I have a hard time trying to figure out, dang it, what the heck did I change? So food blogging, I strongly recommend it. Whether it's taking pictures of your food and creating a folder on your phone, at least hey, on Monday I ate this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tuesday I ate this. If you're writing down ingredients, great. And or putting it on your phone. That's also that's or putting it on a chart. That's good too. It's just food blogging is super good. It's going to be super important, especially with this disease, because you're going to have to monitor if there's a change in the way that your body reacts, because HS has different aggression levels. And I firsthand know that because my son would show light flares throughout the year and have very high flares. But again, back then I wasn't tracking it like the way I'm tracking it now. And then I'm noticing that with his flares, they're being triggered by what he eats. And so now that I've gotten that connected together, I'm like, okay, so this is where I really need to start paying attention. And for everybody that I've worked with, I love those aha moments because it's like, we start going through, hey, what's the most recent thing you ate? And then I get like potato soup. Then I'm being told, some type of random bread that I've never even heard of. But then we go into these ingredients and we start dissecting them together. And I show them, okay, well, this is what I see in the ingredients. Is this what it was, that you were eating? And they're like, oh, yeah, that was it. I'm like, okay, so it looks like you're dairy sensitive because this contains a lot of dairy. And if I see something else that we're going over, I'm like, oh, wow, it looks like you're very gluten sensitive because this has a whole bunch of wheat in it. And then we start looking at other stuff, and I'm like, oh, it looks like you're cheese sensitive too, which is also a sister to dairy. And so from there, it's like, wow, I never even realized I ate more dairy than what I thought. Because it's in seasonings. We don't never know. It's inside of different crackers. We don't even know. It's in food that we don't even realize that it's in. So those are just aha moments that are gonna happen all the time because I still have those aha moments. Like when I'm cooking and preparing and buying food for my son and I'm there getting mad at myself like, damn, Val, you should be a vet by now. But I'm not. you know, because it's a learning process. And the good thing about this is that you can always get back up and make sure you dust your shoulder off and say, hey, I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna make sure I don't have that oversight. Make sure I catch my error, and that's all it is. So I know that on my site, I think it's crazy that there's people that actually go to my website and are just talking and saying, you know, not everybody is gluten and not everybody's dairy sensitive. I didn't say everybody was. All I'm saying is I want to see what's triggering that person. I know what triggers my son for the majority of the part. But when I'm reaching out to people and asking them, hey, can I have a shot at diagnosing you? And if they ask or if they accept it, I'm going to go ahead and go full all the way through. I'm going to dissect it all the way down to the darn ingredient, because I want to see what it is that they ate that made them feel like crap the next day. So everybody that I've talked to, every single person that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I don't blast nobody's names, because you know what? This is a very sensitive disease. This is a very private disease. And I'm showing and I'm sharing my son's journey because it impacts all ages, not just the seniors, not a specific race, not a specific gender. It's everybody. This disease don't care what color you are, how you were born, where you were born. If you are sensitive to these specific proteins and dairy items, then it's gonna be a hell of a ride, because that disease is horrible. It is an ugly disease, and I will never flaunt it like if it's pretty, because it's not. I went to one of these parent, meetings, and they're trying to make it sound like, be proud of your disease, and, don't be ashamed of it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm there sitting there like, you know what? No, I don't want my son to be okay about being in pain. I don't want my son to be accepting the fact that he has drainage all over his body. I don't want my son to be okay with any of that stuff. I want my son to understand why his body is doing that. I want my son to understand how to manage this infection, this disease, not to accept it and be okay with it, and by putting it to sleep temporarily just to be able to wake back up feeling like crap the next day. I don't want my son to be not okay with any of that stuff. And you shouldn't be either. Just because one person's okay with being in their deathbed all day, every day, and being in not their first surgery, not their second surgery, not their third, I'm talking about like their 7th surgery, their 10th surgery. If those people want to continue to have surgery after surgery, knowing darn well there is no cure. Darn well there's no cure. Why in the heck are you promoting surgeries? Why? So someone else is getting paid? So someone else's pocket's getting fat? Because I ain't going to be paying you. I'm going to be making sure I'm buying what I need to buy, so that way my son is being good and being taken care of by him, not by you. I'm going to take care of him, and I'm going to teach him to be able to take care of himself. So that's my update for today, as far as like why my update is about potatoes. So this week, like me, I went like 100, and I went and bought all kinds of like new stuff for my son, because I'm trying to tell my son, even though we have new restrictions to how we're going to eat, I'm still going to try to make it fun, because he's still a kid, and I don't want him to think that, dang, I'm going to have to eat like a bird, because you're not. There's going to be food that you can eat. You're just going to have to spice it up. Like with everything else, we're going to have to spice it up. So this week I noticed that he did get a cyst that opened up, and it wasn't even a cyst because I didn't even see it. Like I saw it. It was pretty minor. And then when it finally did open up, I was like, ugh, I didn't like that, And I'm like, hey, does it hurt? He's like, no, I didn't even know it was there. So I'm like, okay, so if he doesn't know it's there, but I see it, all right, that's still good. It's like a 50-50, I'm kind of winning, but HS is kind of winning, HS is telling me I'm present But now that's just letting me know I need to tie up some loose ends. So I'm catching the main culprit, which is the gluten and the dairy. Now I need to just tie up some loose sections, because again, the way everybody says everybody's impacted differently. Yeah, you're right. Everybody is impacted differently. I honestly feel like when we catch it early enough with our very young and our youth, when we catch it early enough, they only have like minor adjustments they need to make. When we go on through life and our digestive systems are all being challenged in different ways, depending on how we eat, how we take care of our how we eat really is just how we eat and what we eat. Then your digestive system is going to be a lot different. So as you get older and you're pushing the limits on your digestive system, because again, I'm going to say it and I'm going to say it over and over again. This is not a skin disease. Yeah, you see it on your skin, but it's because it's whatever's happening inside your body. There's something inside your body that's going on that it's showing you on a visual level outside of your body. So I started looking up, now that I got rid of gluten, because gluten is 95% of what the heck the reason why your body is the way it is as far as skin, the way we feel. You know, it causes brittle bones. It causes pH deficiency, like pH, it throws your pH balance off. Gluten affects the way you sweat. I know for one, it affected me, and I'm doing a heck a lot better. I don't even sweat like the way I used to. I swear to God, walking from my car all the way to the store, I smelled like bacon. I was like, golly. But anyways, and with my son, it was different. It was with his skin. It was very visual. He had holes all over his body. He had pus all over his body. He couldn't sleep. He had body aches, body pains. He had always wanting to vomit, you know, like those sensations. And he couldn't poop. His poop was very far and few. And when they were, it was just very hard. It was hard for him to poop, and it was painful. And when he did poop, it was like, you know, very bad. So poop is very important for those of you who have kids. And so anyways, now that he has like a regular bowel system, everything's good. Now that he has no pain, which is good. Again, this was my whole goal, is that my son is pain-free, not having to be taking any type of medication to be able to be pain-free. So he's pain-free. Now, when you go into this process and you're doing this whole elimination, you know, food elimination, when you go to the doctors, again, I was never told about this. This is something that I decided to do on my own just because I did a lot of thorough research on how to get this process started. So this was the way it told me, you know, you introduce your body to it and you gradually go into gluten-free, dairy-free. You can introduce dairy if you want at the end of the week. And if you feel a reaction on your body, well, then that just tells you, hey, you know what? My body did not like that, because you're going to feel like crap. Because my son felt it. And he was in bed for 2 days because he couldn't handle that donut he had. So, and so everybody experiences it different. And so then once you go through your first week, by week 2, because you're going through a cleansing stage in week 1. You're letting all the remaining pus to, you know, whatever you ate that was gluten related or dairy related. Because from what I've been timing on my son, and everybody's different. I can't say that the times are going to be exactly on point, because it just depends on how sick you've been and how sick is actually sick. So with my son, you know, I was kind of like his home care nurse. You know, I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I lanced my son. I open sores. I take out blackheads. I was cleaning wounds. And then there's some individuals that don't know how to do that because it's hard. Some of these wounds are hard to open. You're scared to lance them. But I wasn't. I took classes online, which is weird as it sounds, but I fucking took classes online to lance my son. And it worked. I was able to use the supplies that I would buy online or at the CVS store to make sure that my son would not get infected. And he never did. My son never got infected. And it's all because you have to really take care of your body in order to avoid your body escalating into that red zone. And so I wanted to always make sure he was always at yellow and below. I can take care of yellow. I can't take care of red. We're going to have to